It's actually not live though.
We're not live yet?
Nope.
Yes, we are.
Oh, we are? We rock.
Good day, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are, because I know some people are in Melbourne.
Oh, sorry.
Good night.
I was getting carried away.
Apparently so.
Shut your mouth.
Welcome to our 191st podcast, I think it is.
Yeah.
There are more episodes. There are well more than 200 episodes on our podcast, channel.
I don't know why we don't count them all. I don't know what this...
Because we didn't count special episodes.
I don't know why.
They're different because they're relating to tennis anyway.
Oh, whatever.
But anyway, welcome to another exciting episode. We have finally got rid of Wimbledon. I feel like I was watching grass for like 4 weeks. It just felt oppressive and never ended. I just felt that way. I don't know about anyone else. But before I go any further, I want to introduce my co-host. This is with the Moseses, but apparently Andreen slipped out to get into something a little bit more comfortable. Andreen?
Oh, Lord, leave her alone. Move on.
But she's here now. She's back.
I'm already comfortable. Sorry, y'all. I'm already comfortable. I'm in my nightgown.
Okay. So I guess you went to go expose anyway. It's Sunday, someone Sabbath. Let me try to keep this holy and clean. How are you doing, Andreen from Solely Tennis Travels? How are you?
I'm doing well, actually. I'm having some coffee with Bailey's and cream, and so I'm all is good in the world.
I know you were enjoying these finals this weekend. I mean, they were all Maya still in her PJs anyway.
As a sort of neutral, in the sense that I didn't care about anyone playing them, they were perfectly decent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they worked.
And we have from far in Ohio, Janina, who has let us know, folks, that we're only going to be here for an hour because Janina wants to go try to help Italy win something today. In Euro.
You're an asshole.
Oh, Italy. But you know what? It'll look good doing it. Let's just say that.
I mean,
Italians, because I will admit, Berrettini, he looked attractive to me. I think the reason why was because I wasn't focused on his legs. I was focused on his bum. And then suddenly his face looked better to me.
But
his face is gorgeous. What do you mean? Are you just
doesn't
now
have any bum.
That?
I don't know what y'all are talking about. It's just
all tennis players have bums. Yeah, they do. Listen, Berrettini is gorgeous. He really is. His face is so pretty. Oh my god!
Saw it before. You know me.
Why?
I mean, I like a guy with a big nose. Berrettini doesn't have that.
But he has a.
But you know what?
He has a beautiful mouth.
For this word on whether Berrettini has a butt or not, I'm going to ask our special guest, Pablo. Does Berrettini have a butt?
Good afternoon. And I hope we're all doing very well after that thrilling. Does he have a bottom?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. He has a nice one. It's not as shapely as others. But interestingly, I just saw the news flash from, I think it's the Washington Post, and it says Djokovic tops Berrettini at Wimbledon, which was an interesting.
Always use that. I hate when they do that.
I know.
Well, look, they have to bring the fever, the juice, or some kind of excitement to that finals because I mean it surely wasn't on the court. So,
yeah. But Matteo is very nice from the knees up.
Yes, I think so.
It's the caliper legs that are.
I mean, he has let me know. He has sent, like how Serena be sending out those cryptic messages to me, like, "Bitch, I know about my eyebrows. Like, leave me alone." Berrettini has served me notice. He be out here trying to get his legs to like.
You said I do like that.
He shows me that he doesn't skip leg day. He's trying to increase the width of those sticks. So Berrettini, I'm all here for you, trying to get that bamboo, those twigs at least get to bamboo
They are like matchsticks, aren't they?
Oh my God. I keep thinking they're going to snap. He looks like a secretary bird.
You guys rag on his legs all the time, and they're not that bad.
They are
small calves.
Janina.
They're bad compared to the rest of his body.
Janina.
You don't even let me defend his legs.
Because you're wrong.
No, I'm not. He's got small calves compared to the rest of his body.
They're indefensible. They're like stiletto heels.
Oh my God. They are. Y'all are brutal. You know what? I don't know.
Another thing. A tennis player who doesn't have a bottom, chains.
It's just air. It's just air there. It's just air there.
It's as flat as a pancake.
Move on. You got 1 hour.
Keep going. I absolutely love the fact that the first. This is a historic day, and the analysis starts with Berrettini's bum. I love us. But let's move forward and talk about overall, y'all. How was that match for you?
It was heartbreaking. Berrettini got my fucking heart all pumping. Listen, I was yelling and hooting and hollering so much in that first set. My neighbor texted me and she said, "What the fuck is going on over there? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm watching tennis." And she's like, "Oh," she and her sister were outside. She's like, "I told her that's probably what you were doing." Like, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. I wasn't expecting to have any fun at all. So at least we got that little bit of fun out of it. And this motherfucker. Then Novak turned into Novak.
Zero expectation of that match. And so I thought that Berrettini handled himself very well.
He actually did.
For a first slam final, right? And he didn't do the thing that Stefanos did, which is, go on a tear for 2 sets and then, collapse. It was more like, let's keep this enjoyable throughout.
Listen, I think he tried. I think for a first time showing in a Grand Slam final, he did amazing. At the end of the day, he was playing Novak Djokovic, who is absolutely fucking unbeatable right now. That man is a machine. He gets to every fucking ball, and you're just kind of like, listen, you know it's impressive when I'm cheering Novak points because I can't stand that fucker. That's really good fucking tennis.
I didn't like him.
You don't have to like him, but he does some amazing shit.
I'm not talking about him. I said I didn't like the tennis. I didn't like the
tennis. I didn't think it was anywhere near the quality that we want in a final. And that's partly maybe Matteo's nerves, but Novak just has a way of wearing everybody down.
He's so good.
He
at what he does.
He doesn't blitz you off the court.
Nope.
Like Rafa could do, or even Roger in his finest. But he just wears you down. And I think it was Susie tweeted that Matteo looked cooked, and he did.
By the end, it was over.
Nothing left, and it was only 4 sets.
I know. That doesn't bode well for him. But it was 4 long.
Show me a final where Djokovic has not worn his opponent down.
When the first set was over, I was like, holy shit, it's been an hour.
Yeah. I cannot believe that Janina called me and I'm just like, y'all believe in Santa Claus. Like, this is a rope-a-dope situation. Listen to me. I had already, when this match started, I tweeted out, it's going to be 4 sets. Nole is going to keep it cute, keep it dramatic, keep it, interesting, for people. And I think today he was being very kind because he saw the effect that happened to Plagianos. You can't murder him on the court because you will break him. Yep. He's trying to spare. Look, Plagianos got roped out by Tiafoe. I mean, no disrespect to Tiafoe, but I mean, like, not in straight sets, okay? But, he doesn't want to break these children because he's going to, who is he going to play with?
Let's talk about that, though. Let's talk about the match itself. Like, I mean,
because
Pablo,
to me,
tell us the numbers, because it wasn't a winners match.
Deb says Nole, where's the viewers down to? I'm not entertained.
Yes,
I was entertained in moments.
But moments is not enough for a final.
No, it's not. But
if you go back to the drama,
it was more competitive than I thought it would be.
Yeah, if you go back to the drama of the last men's final at Wimbledon, this is not a patch on it. I mean, it was just the tennis was just not good enough. overall.
Yeah, I saw someone asking whether it was like, and not epic, obviously, because it's not 5 sets, so we don't get into epic territory when we talk about 5 sets. Like it was a symbolic and important match, but it wasn't an interesting match.
Yeah,
to watch at all.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately is usually the case with a Novak match. I mean,
yeah, we don't ever really expect him to lose.
But here's the thing for me, though. For me, that because the match was always on Nole's racket, like always.
For sure,
there
he's
was
the
never
better player.
a momentum shift. There was never a moment where you felt, well, at least for me, that Berrettini had some way of that Berrettini could figure out how to win. No, there wasn't. Look, every single time
he had some momentum.
It was Nole tripping over himself.
I disagree with that.
Look,
yeah, it's not quite like the women's match where you felt like Ash Barty was giving the match away.
Right.
Feel the same way with Novak.
I mean, because look, that momentum shift that we would have thought, Nole was serving for this first set. Berrettini breaks back. They're in a tiebreaker. Nole is playing, loose, whatever. And there is John McEnroe. We have a match in our hand. In like 20 minutes, full of Novak. In 20 minutes.
But before that was the momentum that you're saying didn't exist.
But no, I'm just saying that's what people perceive it to be. I don't think there was ever any momentum shift. This match was always, for me, and I said it from the beginning of the match, actually, that this is going to be 4 set. Nole knows not to come out here and blitz this child. Because it's gonna look embarrassing. It wouldn't have any. It can't be written about. It's 20. It's gonna kind of sour the whole theatric of it. Like he mowed him over. It's not gonna look cute. Like to me, and there was
had that look
at any point. And here's the thing. I mean, and this is Berrettini doesn't really have a backhand to contend with Nole. And if you're gonna be like strictly like speaking, of the tangible things. Like the problem for someone like Berrettini is that the top players, which is that they have kill shot on both sides, right?
Yep.
Forehand and backhand. There is no weakness in their game structurally in and of itself. Berrettini has a slice backhand, and that is not going to be cute when someone like
I don't know
Nole
what you're talking about. I heard that Ash Barty has a slice backhand, and that is a kill shot for her. But I think also his kill shot on the forehand side wasn't happening at all.
Because there's too much pressure on that, right? Because that becomes the only thing that he can't play any subtle shot with Nole. He has to blitz Nole off the court with that forehand. He has to go for juice on every single shot.
Yeah.
And Nole have the length. I mean,
I don't like that narrative, though. I really don't.
But here's the thing, and Nole, and you pointed out, Janina, when you said Nole is unbeaten. Nole is freaking strong. Nole is getting length.
I know, but listen,
like 20 feet
you're
behind
saying
the baseline.
All right, try the narrative.
Wait.
You're saying that his forehand was breaking down because there's too much pressure on it. Everybody he plays knows that's his shot. I don't think it was ever there today. I think it was on him that it wasn't there. I think he was nervous and he was overcome by the moment and was probably going for too much at times. But I didn't feel like it was Novak playing on it and making it try to be good. I really didn't. I don't think the Berrettini, he didn't even serve like he served all tournament. He was pressured by the moment more than he was by Novak to play well. Of course, when you play Novak, of course you have to up your game when you play him because of who he is. Yeah. I get that. But he did not start at the high level that we've seen him all tournament and then come down because of Novak's play. It was never there. I think he was nervous.
I would say maybe 5 quick things about it.
You don't get to say 5 quick things. You don't say anything quickly. That's a list of 5. Stop telling lies.
All right. I'll try, Janina.
Go ahead, Pablo. Go ahead.
I'll be curt.
Okay.
1, Matteo was very nervous. 2, he didn't appear to have a game plan from the get-go. 3, he can't serve and volley. He can't volley.
No.
I think it's difficult to win Wimbledon if you can't volley. 4, at no stage did Novak look to be in trouble.
None.
5, I don't think Novak, at the moment, I think he's playing better or as good as he's ever played. His game hasn't dipped like Rafa and Roger. He's just getting better, and that's scary. There's my 5 things, Janina.
I'm proud of you for accomplishing that.
so
Wimbledon champion Pablo.
Yes. And, and honestly, if you think about that, then what you have then is a Novak that is what Pablo just described. And then a bunch of people who aren't really necessarily comfortable on grass.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second best player on grass this season was Berrettini. And that's what we had in the final. So in many ways, that's actually the best final you could have asked for on the men's side. And this is what you got.
But I agree with Janina's point that his forehand just didn't turn up today.
But
the two in his 1-2 punch wasn't there.
Was it their reels? Like he had open.
He didn't serve as well as he's been serving.
Yeah, his serve was down.
I think my point to that. I mean,
it is an interaction. It is a tennis.
Right, exactly. so that's my point to that. Because Felix Nole was reading that serve as if it was an open book. And that's the thing. I think though Berrettini had a lot of good aces, it wasn't enough. When you're playing someone like Nole, even Rafa knows this, even Federer knows this. You cannot afford to make any kind of misstep, right? Particularly and Berrettini doesn't have the kind of game where he's gonna try to wear Nole down. He isn't nowhere as strong as Nole. I mean, I know the other thing you mentioned, Pablo, that Nole looks in better shape today than he's been before. His legs were popping, and I'm just
he's one of the few that actually has gotten better since COVID, even though he got COVID.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting.
I mean, and even and what I was talking about in terms of the way I felt like even when you look at that Chapo game, right? When Chapo played Chapo, it was all on Nole's racket. Yeah. Chapo was out there trying to be excited and whatever. And I think Berrettini, from that conversation afterwards, Berrettini knew that. And that's the look on all of their opponent when they get off the court. It's just like, really and truly, the score might say something different, but I never had a chance, because when it came down to the end point, the interesting point, Nole never dropped the bag.
No. Let me push back.
When he needed to break them and get the set, he was ready.
Let me push back on top of that, because I think the thing is, I think to your point, it's a little bit about, there's a lot of pressure that builds up in the opponent, right? Because when Chapo and even Berrettini had clear open court for a winner, their balls bottom of the net, wide, it just doesn't happen, right? And in that moment, who are you going to blame that on? Are you blaming that on Novak, or are you blaming it on the player sort of choking in that moment? Because I think that's why Chapo felt disappointed in himself, is that it wasn't like he felt like he was overrun or overwhelmed by Nole. He felt like he was in it for a shot and he didn't capitalize.
But here's the thing. Yes and no, I would say to some degree, yes. But I think statistically, we know tennis players are going to make errors, right? It is impossible to play the match without making errors. I'm thinking, I think if I'm not mistaken, Nole is out there being the analytics guy. He's getting the numbers and whatever case to me. He plays understanding that better than the other opponent. That I would not make 50% of the shot and I would go for the shot. You know what I mean? I think he's expecting, and I mean, okay, they might win some of those points here or there, but it's never going to really turn the tide of the match, because at the end, when Nole is ready to dial up, I mean, there is just nothing you can do.
It's very difficult to get past him.
There's nothing. I mean, look at that French Open final, quarterfinal, semifinal, whatever the case may be. I mean, to drag Rafa to the Chitlin circuit and Roland Philippe Chatrier, I mean, you're doing something like you are unstoppable.
Did French congratulate Nole? That's good.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just simply stating that
I'm looking at the comments in the section. Deborah says that Federer has congratulated Nole. Thank God Fed understands the politics of doing that.
I mean, look, Fed, you do it so that I don't have to do it, Fed. I appreciate that.
He's racking in the corner if you don't do that to him. You got to do the congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's letting. But you know, the Mole farm is going to be out. Hey, you see that congratulation Federer gave? Was it enough? Did he use 240 characters? No, he did not. When he congratulated Ash Barty, he gave her 400.
Even if even if that tweet only has 5 words, I'm sure there'll be a George
An
Belcher
analysis.
article
But you
written
know
about
what,
it.
though? Wait, listen. This is as much as I want to talk about Nole. So, I do want to say though, congratulations to him, because let us all remember exactly 10 years ago, Novak Djokovic was a pale figure compared to who this person is right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, he was.
And he was unstoppable in 2011 at one point.
But it's always good to bolster what you've said about how he performs.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the numbers. He hit 31 winners against 57 from Berrettini. So half the number of winners. He hit 21 unforced errors against 48. And there it is. He doesn't blast him off the court.
Nope.
He just makes less errors.
And he just, you know, I mean, in our world, and it's so interesting too, because if that was an analysis of a women's match, we'd call that a certain type of player.
Yes.
But because it's a men's match, it's very, very masculine to not do that.
And also Berrettini, I mean, Nole is getting back shots that should have been winners. Okay, Berrettini should have won some of those points 2 shots before, right? Like, it was just like, how did he get that back? So, I mean, to some credit, that's what I'm saying, that Nole, and that's the thing I think we said before we came online, that Nole has turned grass into this defensive surface, which is really crazy. Because back in the day, you couldn't defend on this. You just had to go for broke. You had to be offensive.
You had to win. Like, you had to look, like we were looking at the numbers to the 2019 final. And the winners that Federer had was like something like 90 something, right? And Novak was, I think, 60 something. So it was not about, usually when you look at an analysis of a grass court match, you're looking at who's got the winners and you're like, clearly that's the person who won the match. But when you're playing Novak, that is not what happens. And to Reels' point, like, he forces you to go for winners all the time, knowing that at some point in time
you're gonna fuck up.
Statistically, it's in your favor, right? It's in his favor. And that's what I'm saying.
Mark says Novak is a good slider on grass. Novak's a good slider on everything. He slides. I think he practices it in his fucking sleep.
Well, yeah, I mean, the flexibility,
he slides everywhere
thing that he's done. So for you all, what is this? So obviously this sets us up for the tedious 2020.
Maya said, I remember when he used to retire from matches due to fitness. But then Federer called him out, right? And Nole was just like, fuck that, I'm going to get my body right.
All I'm going to say is I would like an interview with the original doctor who sat in Novak Djokovic's camp in 2000. No. Because listen, he owes it all to that doctor who never gets mentioned. That doctor should have a book. No, he completely transformed Novak's body, because everyone remembers that season before Novak had a brutal loss against Rafa, I think in Madrid. And
he said, no more, motherfucker.
And he said, no more. And the next season, Novak Djokovic showed up. And I remember we saw him live at Indian Wells. And I was sitting beside a Rafa fan, and we looked at him and said, what is up with this boy's body? No body fat, right? No body fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And then he had that doctor in his camp who just completely disappeared. We don't see his name anymore. And everybody was interviewing that doctor, like, what happened? How did you transform Novak? Apparently he had this whole illness that we just never knew about. And he's become this complete machine. And I mean, we don't talk about that, but that was a transformative moment in the sport. And if we're going to do history, I hope in his documentary, he sits down with that doctor and talks about how he was able to transform himself from a sort of asthmatic person who Andy Roddick made fun of a little bit.
but he completely changed his diet, and gives credit a lot to that. I know somebody who met him just after that time, and he described him as a whippet. You know the racing dog, which has absolute. It's just sort of a little bit of fur and bones and nothing. A whippet, and he is. It's exactly how he is. He's that fast. There's not a millimeter of body fat on him.
Nope.
And a lot of it, I believe, is down to just the completely refocusing his diet and the way that the body works. And
he has maintained. But he has maintained, not only maintained this situation, because we have seen this phenomenon quite recent in the last 10 years of like 30 plus professional athletes being peak. You know, I'm thinking about Dara Torres in swimming. But I think what is interesting about Nole for me is that those players, and even Serena and Federer, right? They're hyper focused, right? We can't be playing 20 tournaments as we did back in the day, right? We have to focus our resources and whatever. But Nole isn't like that. And the sort of behavior I'm seeing Nole in 2021, it's even more phenomenal than 2011 when Nole was fucking insane. Where Federer was the only one.
2011 Novak, when we thought he was like, when people just imagined that he was going to be in every single slam, and then then something happened, and because life changes like that, and so I think it's just really noteworthy to think about his journey and how he's gotten to the place where he's. And I think Mark Miller, I think you're right in the comments that Novak has also really learned how to manage a match, because I say as a watcher of a Novak match, I always feel like he's not excellent in the match. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always look at the match and it's like, maybe it's just his style of play. It's like you look at the match and it's the opponent that you're watching. Like, it's the opponent who's just doing all the labor.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? And then because he's like a wall, right? And he's like Rafa at the height, when Rafa was like a wall, and you're just like, oh my God, it's impenetrable. I can't get.
And not only that, you're just like, when you think a point is done, it's not done.
It's never done.
But
he gets to everything.
Also, one characteristic he's maintained that I think we see in other greats, which is diminished, is he has no doubt when he's on the court.
Nope.
There's no self-doubt. And there were two bits of tea. Boris Becker was commentating in the UK on this. And of course, he'd had a few gin and tonics or whatever before.
He looked toasted, which I appreciate.
He did, didn't he? But the two things that he shared in that, as he's prone to do in those cases. The first thing is that when crowds cheer Novak's opponent, Novak doesn't understand that they're cheering the opponent. They're not necessarily booing him, although sometimes they are. And he said he's tried to explain this to him uncountable times, and his ego won't accept that. He thinks the crowd are disrespecting him every time they do it.
Well, I am actually, but
and you know what? A lot of times
we're not there all the time.
Wait, sorry. Go ahead, Pablo. You said
the second bit of tea is I can't quite remember Boris' story exactly, but the angriest he's ever seen him is when Rafa replaced him as number one.
Oh yeah, really? Why?
He just exploded.
Back and forth between the three of them.
He exploded.
Well, I
mean, I could teach him some math, right? It's just numbers, boo. It's not complication. It's addition. That's it. Nothing.
I think what drives his game is animus, right? That's
absolutely 100%. Everything. And the PPPA.
Well, who knows? But someone's like, why is Goran in his camp? I was like, animus? I think Goran hates practically all the other top guys that's ever been around. Like, he just feels like he never got his good. He never, he's always seemed quite resentful to me. And so I think resentment and animus animates that camp in some ways. And so not listening to the claps and thinking that it's about the audience. Listen, Mark, I don't know why the audience doesn't like Novak. I think, and people always want to put it down to Federer or Rafa, but you know what? Sometimes those two aren't even there, and the audience still doesn't respond to him.
But I don't.
But it's visceral. It's visceral because
of the way he comes across. It's a style of play. I think it's a style of play.
But I don't understand.
Go ahead,
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was saying I never understand this question because I'm just like, to be liked is not a guarantee. There is no formula for this.
Listen, though. But think about Novak, though. You have to. I think the reason why that question keeps coming up is because Novak is chasing two people who does get the crowd. So he thinks it's an inevitable part of the game. Like, it's not like he's coming from the Pete Sampras era or the whatever era. He's coming directly behind two people who have set a roadmap. Nole is not following a roadmap the other two haven't traveled. Like, there have been moments, like this feeling that people have about Novak. I remember us having this feeling about Fed. I remember us having this feeling about Rafa, right? That's the
having which feeling?
The feeling like this person is unbeatable. Like, the only reason why people feel like Novak is better than the two that came before him is because those two are still around. But I remember when people thought Fed was just like unplayable. I remember when people thought
right, and then he's not, right, and then
they're not, and then they have that moment. So it's like, I think what makes the GOAT debate animated is because all three are playing at the same time, and people feel like they've been the GOATs all together,
and they play.
But they're not.
You know what? People oh my god, I can't even believe I'm gonna say
But Mark,
this.
that's not actually true though.
Real.
Sorry.
I just think that we really do not step back and appreciate, if you are a true tennis fan, instead of a stan of one player, how lucky you are to have been a fan of tennis during this time. This is unprecedented. Listen, you've got Federer, you've got Rafa, you've got Novak. You've got three people who back to back to back are seemingly doing the impossible. Instead of wanting to always pit them against each other, which we do because it's fun, right? And it's sport. And I guess that's what you do. But you never, ever maybe just, I think if you're a true fan of the sport, you appreciate that you're even getting to watch it.
No, I don't buy that argument, because you know what? If you've been watching tennis a long time, it's not about the fact that you have three people playing like this. It's about the crowd. It's about how the game is working together. Like, I think the Agassi Sampras era was amazing, and it's like
you had Chang, Correa.
Yeah, but you had other people. Like, the idea that it's like we should be grateful because we have three potential GOATs in contention. I also don't think the surrounding narrative is that interesting. Like that, like it's really just those three guys. When different errors were happening, there were lots of things popping off. You don't get that same vibe.
Well, I guess it depends on how you approach sports, because it's funny because when Federer has a hard loss, or, you know, Novak fans will come at me because I'm a Federer fan on Twitter, and they really think that I'm bothered, and I'm not. I mean, I'm truly not bothered. I know that there are people who truly are. I know that there are people who really feel crushed on the inside, and they have this deep emotional connection when their fave loses. That's not who I am. That's not how I approach sports. Somebody wins, somebody loses. You know this every fucking time before it even starts. So that's just not who I am. So maybe it's easier for me to say, wow, this is pretty cool, because I get it. I totally agree that it is more fun when you have a whole bunch of people doing things like the Sampras and Agassi era. I was watching tennis then. I was an Agassi fan. You know, I fucking hated Sampras, but I appreciated what Sampras was
doing. I'm your friend.
I
did call me tomorrow morning.
Okay, this point Andreen makes about animus, I think I believe it's central to how Novak operates. And one of the differences when we have all three of them playing at the same time, where Rafa and Roger, they're diminished compared to how they used to be. It's clear they're not as strong as they were, and he's the opposite. But he has taken that battle about who is the GOAT off the tennis court and into tennis politics, which is different, which is very different from the way Rafa and Roger behave. And those two are unimpeachable in their behavior towards fans and everything, and that's why I love the way they are. He's gone down another avenue with this, and it's not enough for him to win the most slams. He's going to crush them on the business side of things, on the politics side of things.
Yeah, but there's no way. Go ahead.
That is sad. Because when the motivation is really your personal animus because you don't get the respect you think you deserve, that's tragic.
It's also just a weird misread. I mean, I frankly think the weird thing that Boris has revealed is so odd to me. Like, why would you assume that it's just necessary? But again, if you're animated by animus, I guess you assume the audience also is animated by animus, right? So, I mean, I don't think his game style brings you in. That's personally me. I don't think he plays the type of tennis. If your tennis is about drawing errors from your opponent, how does that generate a sense of like jubilance when you do it? It just doesn't do that, because
you know what?
A ball in a net is actually your win, right? Like it just.
But check this out. See, and again, it's all how you approach and watching sport, right? So fans of boxing, love or hate Mayweather. Why? Because he doesn't. years and years and years ago, he'd go out there and knock his opponent out. And then I think he broke his hand or wrist or something, and he stopped doing that. And he started boxing smart. He just does enough to win. You haven't seen Mayweather knock anybody out in forever. I fucking hate watching Mayweather. Hold on. Jason loves him because he's like, watch how smart he is. Watch how he plays. And that's what Novak does. So really, I mean, truly, it's all about what you want to get out of the sport that you enjoy. We don't enjoy Novak's game. I don't like that baseline, make you hit 10 more shots. I want the kill shot. I want the creative tennis. I want somebody to cut. That's why I like Nick probably. Throwing them fucking underhand serves. Throw them off. You know what Novak is going to do every time, and he's going to beat you at it. And that's fine that he's good. It's not entertaining for us. That you have to separate what is entertaining you and does that make them good or bad? It is what it is. Clearly he's good. Doesn't mean you have to like it.
And doesn't mean
then you need to tell Nole that though, because we're not confused by this concept at all. We're not confused by this at all. And I was saying that I think Mark just mentioned that people have to like the winners. That's not true.
No, you don't.
Because we have literally watched this treatment for the Williams sisters.
Yeah.
That they weren't even liked by their opponents who went into the press room and dragged them to pieces every single time. So, I mean, you're winning. The only thing that you're guaranteed from winning is the trophy and the biggest check.
And the cash.
That's it.
And you should just be grateful for that and take that home. Because
exactly how people perceive you. And we all know that, look, Anna Kournikova wasn't winning any trophies and she was cashing big checks and everyone loved her. So I think there's a lot of little.
And she married a pop star.
And she married a pop star. I mean, which means she's big in Spain too. And I mean. I'm just saying that it takes a lot. There is a lot of intangibles to this situation, and I don't think, to me, I think that's one of the things that I don't, whether I liked him. One of the things I find rather disturbing about him is that this obsession to be loved, and he just doesn't want to be loved because trust me, the Mole fam loves you, boo. Because I ain't know who's gonna be out here doing chats and graphs and whatnot unless that's love. Okay. I ain't even doing that for a grade.
Can I tell you it's not love? Because let me tell you something. Can I just make I beg you, Nole fans. The Roger Federer subject area on Twitter is for Roger Federer. Stop clouding it with your Novak shit. I don't follow Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer shows up. He shows up in the Roger Federer tag. Please use the Nole tag for Nole. Why to get news about Roger Federer? Why are you clogging up my Twitter feed?
But this is another thing that I mean, we shouldn't compare stan groups, but his is a cult. They are.
I won't go down that road. I won't go down that road.
Pablo, that's the stuff we talk about privately. Shut up.
The thing is that we literally have a chat group talking about cults for real. So that's why we are very much intimately knowledgeable on what a cult is.
They are possessed.
I mean, they're at another level.
But you know what? Wait, y'all.
It's moving on. I have to say that.
Go for it, Real.
I just have to say that I just found out a disturbing bit of information, and I have to clean up my group chats because Maya, Jazz, and Janina talking some shit that they don't like Pete. So no private DM conversation with any of these ladies. Okay,
liar, pants on fire.
I hated not Sampras. I hated Agassi.
Thank you. You see, this is why Andrina and I see eye to eye.
The lovely narrative, which is why, can I tell you, if you notice who has come to, all I have to say is you can judge Nole by who has trained him in his camp. That's all I'm saying. That is a camp that is a big me camp if I've ever
seen. That group. It's a hater. It's a hater. Right away.
All right.
You know what, guys? That is wonderful. Congratulations to Novak Djokovic. You have done something that people thought was impossible, which is to get to 20. I'm really mad that you got there so quickly, because my poor man was stuck. You got there so quickly because my poor man was stuck for years.
Listen to me,
Reels. I think these Agassi lovers, they're like high school on Sunday.
Stop it, you are
no class.
Look, they got vibes. They got Streisand in that group, so I don't know.
That's right.
I'm just saying. I'm not gonna say they don't have class. They got Streisand.
Have you seen the video of Pete Sampras impersonating Barbara Streisand at a match when they were playing?
Yeah.
And she was saying, "Come on, Andre, Dre, you can do it, Dre." No, what really put me off about him was the crystal meth. I mean, that was.
I mean, listen
we
to
didn't
me.
know about that.
I'm a judicious hater, so I mean, I'm sure that I've been around the circuit because you don't do crystal by yourself. Okay, you do that with.
It's true, he did do it by himself, exactly. Yeah.
I'm a hater of Agassi just because I hate the neediness. I don't like a needy player at all. That's why I can't. That's the only part of Djokovic's thing that really pushes me off. I do not like neediness.
And to be fair, you know, if there's a Diva Dow Nole match, Andreen is back in Nole.
Yes,
Richard says Maria Buena had a cult. Wow.
So anyway, I just wanted to point out before we move on to the ladies, you know, I just want to point out that these three men since 2003 has won 60 majors.
That's
6-0.
crazy.
I hate that stat.
Three men. And this is an equal average, okay? This isn't like one of them won like 30 and then you know what I mean? Like 3 men has won 60 majors. ATP do better. This shit is boring. And if none of these people ever win another major again, I would be so happy and joyous for it. I do not want to see another final where Berrettini is walking off looking at
it. Moving to Barty's party. Okay.
Oh.
The women's final. We're moving to Barty's party. How was the women's final for you? Similarly.
Well, the cyborg had a malfunction and again didn't turn up.
Yeah, but you know what I will say though, I was more intrigued by the women's final than I was by the men's final.
Of course you would be. I mean,
well, there was just more. It was open. I couldn't
exactly. There was an air of there was a slight air of, you know, like uncertainty. Just
really, because I didn't even see it. I didn't see one point of it, but I never for once thought that Barty wasn't going to win.
Listen,
seriously,
the only reason why she potentially couldn't win is because she might have choked it away. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. She forgot a game plan for about 4 games.
Yeah.
Yep. Let Pliskova back in, and then she realized actually she was there to slice her to shreds.
Yes.
And continued slicing her way to victory. And she played a great WTA grass court game to win.
Yeah. And also, but Kaplis, let me just say, if you're a person that shows up in the final only to watch, you'd be like, how'd this girl get here?
I mean, you know what? I mean, seriously. I mean, Andrina and I had a conversation. She's not even missing by a little bit. She was missing by a lot. And that's just the thing, you know, everyone was talking about. Look, we all know. We know this Carolina, okay? We know her. We know she's going to come. Look, because, girl, this could have been. But you see, and credit to Barty, because I think Barty, you know, had a little bit more dimension or shape to her game. But she was going to get some Kaplis was just like, girl, like, what are you doing out here? Just stupid errors, just like points anyway.
No, she couldn't. I mean, her serve was gone, and therein
lies the problem.
She's definitely one of those people who cannot survive a grass court match without that serve because she can't move.
She doesn't have anything else. Yeah,
well, that's what I was just going to say. She can't move and Barty can. It's grass. Why did anyone think that Pliskova could win? Period.
Well, because
but there was a moment where Barty could have lost the match. That's just the crazy part. But then she could have turned the whole shit.
She was getting in her own way. That's the only reason why. It was one of those moments where it was like maybe the moment was going to be too big for her. That's the only reason why the match was competitive. Really, is because Barty went away a few times in it. Served for it, was up 2 breaks in the second set. I mean, it was just painful to watch.
But I'm sure Ostapenko was just laughing her ass off.
I didn't get that reference. Everyone was saying that. What did that refer to?
Because in one of the press conferences, she said, "Well, some of the players win a slam and then they disappear and you never hear of them again, and some players stay in the top, rankings and everything." And she said, "I don't know which is better." And you know who she was talking about.
But you know what? I have to say, I think a one slam. Let me take that one slam and go, girl. Let me say that because I'll tell you which is better. I just watched her play a slam final. And you know what's better? Winning the slam.
Yep.
Winning the slam. Out tennis, because you know what? I will take Ostapenko in that RG final compared to whatever the hell Koplis did yesterday. Yep. I was like, what are you doing? Why are you here?
She never tried to do anything different. She was sitting down there waiting. She was like, literally for me, Koplis was just like, I'm just waiting for my serve to come back. That's it. And then if it goes that way, like, oops, you know what I mean? And I'm just like,
I think a lot of that is down to Barty's strategy, and she stuck to it for about 75% of the match, and that's why she's the winner. Nicely constructed, nicely executed. She had a wobble in the second set when she forgot to slice, but she got it back. And that was the end of it.
But let me tell you what, I was watching the match with Karen, our favorite Bridge P, favorite WTA expert. And I just said to her, I was like, let me just confess. I know it's not polite to say, but I wanted a little bit of yelling. I wanted a little bit of ball bashing. I didn't like it. I didn't like, that's not
was it a quiet match?
It just wasn't my cup of tea. Like I like them big. I like them bold. I like them loud. I like them brash. I like them
very offensive. And
yes, I don't want you. I mean, after a while, I was like, yeah, I get that the slice is working, but that's such a punk ass move. I need you to hit and get some winners.
That's what I thought Koplis was gonna do. Koplis was just like, I'm gonna stop you from doing this nonsense. But Koplis was just like, oh, she's gonna slice me. Let me. Yeah. I don't know what she and Sasha spoke about, but Sasha was just like, girl, let's just pray that serve is on like a boiled corn tomorrow. That's it. If it's not there,
also, it wasn't just the slice. I think Barty got Pliskova moving. And she exposed the fact that she's not a great mover.
Anybody who plays Pliskova should try to get her moving, and you will win.
Yeah.
But interesting enough,
the short court, bring her into the net, and because she doesn't have a short game,
or get her going to her forehand side.
But interesting enough, but when she played Sabalenka, it was she who was moving and she who was extending the rallies.
But
the serve was working though.
Pliskova's a typical modern WTA player. She feeds off pace. Sabalenka was just bashing the ball.
Right.
When you disrupt the pace, it's difficult for her to regroup. She doesn't have that kind of instinctive ability to think of a different court game. She's one-dimensional in that respect, and Barty unpicked it very nicely yesterday.
Yeah, Barty did it well. It was exactly the right strategy. Off-pace ball. I mean, the way that sometimes Pliskova looked like she was falling over. I mean, it was exactly the right strategy. But it's when I watched it, I realized that I love a ruckus. I mean,
I knew it was going to be a mess when it was full of in the opening. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, she lost the first 14 points, 13, 14.
I was just,
bless her. But you know what? So, I mean, that match was painful, but had some emotional drama.
I thought Kerber was going to win the whole damn thing when she got.
I thought Kerber did too. I thought
the fuck happened to her. Can't trust any of these bitches. Not one of them.
Look. To me, the real intrigue of that whole tournament was the women's doubles. That was a tournament for me.
The best thing was Venus and Nick. That was the best moment of the tournament.
Yeah, but that was only one time.
That's pretty. What does that say about Wimbledon? That one match was the highlight of everything.
No, but not that one match. I think
it was for me.
I mean, for you, but I think the women's doubles final was a fantastic match.
It was a great doubles final, and I'm glad that Aya didn't win, because there's one thing I will never forgive her for. When the hacking of the drug testing database, and they published Serena's therapeutic use exceptions, and she went on Russian TV with Makarova, actually, and said, "Oh yeah, they're taking drugs, her and her sister Venus, and we've never heard of this stuff before, and blah blah blah." Go fuck yourself, go. Really, seriously.
Well, I mean, considering the legacy of sports in the country.
I mean, in Russia, and they were definitely on meldonium, right?
I mean, you're talking about drugs you never heard of, girl. I mean, no one heard of meldonium until it came out. We're like, what is this thing? Come on.
Actually, in all her, I know you covered this at the time. In all her playing career, there's only one doctor, other than the guy who prescribed it for her, who knew that Sharapova was taking Mildronate or meldonium. And it wasn't her own doctor. It wasn't the doctor on her team. It wasn't the doctor she went to have surgery with. She didn't tell any of them. The only doctor she told was the Olympic team
doctor. Yep.
Doctor.
Well, listen, we all know. So we don't have to.
Doubles match was exciting.
We don't have to relitigate it. We know that we all.
And I felt, but you know what? I know y'all are dragging Vestina, but I felt bad for her because she was carrying a baby at home and she had to carry a baby on court because Kudermetova
I
required of hand holding. Kudermetova was wanting to fight everybody. She was mad.
She got her to that final, so Vestina should be grateful.
I mean,
single game wasn't going to get her anywhere close to the final.
Kudermetova is going to be a rough one. She's clearly got the
love it
to
go be a brawler. Make her be a brawler.
Yeah. We want her. We want her out there.
But I know she's going to be error strewn all over the place. Look, singles ain't got no doubles, alleys. Okay, so Kudermetova's going to be a messy one. But you know what? We're here for the drama and the intrigue. Fight somebody. Kudermetova, I love it.
Me too.
So this was not the Wimbledon final that we had imagined by any stretch of the imagination. This is no. I think we knew Nole was going to win, but and Berrettini.
We discussed this last week. I think.
Yeah, we did.
Novak versus Berrettini, more or less. Other than Janina, who had something weird. I don't know what it was.
She had Christina McHale in the final. As always, it's like she does.
I ain't fucking with you.
Let's get on track with a couple of things that happened.
Sure.
So, let's talk a little bit about the end to the British Hope. Emma, what did you all think was actually happening in that match? Raducanu, was she injured or did she have a panic attack? What's your sense and read of that? Was John McEnroe actually right for a change?
I mean, she did that thing that boy did in the French Open. What's his name? The Italian boy?
Oh, Musetti?
Musetti, yes.
Which is what?
Which is basically it's like, oh shit, y'all are not gonna take me up in here looking like a hot mess. Okay, like I'm gonna leave now. Okay, like a good guest knows when it's time to exit stage right. And I'm over this match, and I'm going to, exercise my youth and inexperience and get the fuck out of here. And she did that.
I think she had a respiratory shock. She couldn't breathe fluently and regularly, and that's why she was told not to go back out.
What does that mean, though?
Sounds like a panic attack.
It sounds like a panic attack to me.
Basically, a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
But not necessarily in any kind of hysterical way or losing control, but unable to breathe.
So,
and shortness, like apnea, a bit like apnea, but shortness of breath. And because you have that shortness of breath, you can't exert yourself physically because it's possible you would stop breathing altogether and collapse on court.
Here's the thing that nobody wants to say.
She was told not to go out though, and it happens to athletes. It's a rare thing, but they can get overwhelmed by the conditions, by emotions, by the pressure, and it manifests physically. And I believe it was a physical manifestation that stopped her continuing the match.
It doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter if it was something mental that manifested itself physically or if she was having a physical issue. If what she was having was a panic attack and that's what caused her to have to stop play, that's no less than it is what it is. It's real. It's serious. So I don't think it's fair for anybody to say that one is more legit than the other. It sucks regardless because she didn't get to finish playing. And she was having a great run. If it was anxiety, hopefully she can find a way to manage that and get it under control. If it was a true respiratory issue, hopefully she can find a way to manage that and get it under control. That's it.
I mean,
I would say, but I keep my thoughts to myself. But I just want to say that I'm going to introduce the thought that if that had been another player, they would not have been as kind. And
sure. Of course not.
No, but I want to say that she's 18 years old.
Okay.
Coco went out there at 15 and was expected to rally and be on her game at every single point.
And carry the sport according to Chrissy.
Carry it. And I'm just saying that we need to honor and recognize. I mean, let's be honest, how wonderful Coco is, but that's besides the point. But I'm just saying the expectations, right? And I think it's wonderful that everyone really came back, and everyone really came back and was really generous to her, because I think you should always have been that way. But I just want to contrast it to how I think others would have treated another player.
I don't disagree with you at all there, but you know
what I mean. And I think it's fantastic that we're doing it. I don't know. I mean, I think you're well named, Quasimodo.
I think Quasimodo's hump has just burst.
I mean, that's so weird. We're beyond. Thank you. I appreciate Novak Djokovic being the GOAT. Enjoy it. Make some curry with it. Okay, thanks. Anyway, so I just think it's just really wonderful that the response was so supportive to her, and we should have always been that way. But all I kept thinking in my mind is that when the Williams sisters came on tour, they were
no way in hell.
They were no way in hell against her, and I hope we all have learned some things. That's all I'm gonna say. But
I have to say that, I mean, Pablo, when I didn't really know much about her, I just assumed, the British people pull up a whole bunch of wild cards. They got a lot of girls, which they hardly ever pay attention to most of the time, right? But I have a suspicion that it really was a panic attack, and I really think that that it's not. We have to be very sort of careful in this moment, because today isn't because I think about Venus Williams, getting to 1997 Wimbledon US Open finals, right? Just going out, and the sort of pressure, but it's kind of different today with social media, right? And the whole expectation, that whole crowd, Wimbledon, etc. It made the moment more than it needed to be. Sometimes I think we forget that the 17-year-old and 18-year-old today are not the same as it was back then, right? When Martina Hingis was winning majors at 14, right? It's with a part of the sport. Now the sport isn't this way, because you have to be 18 to be a full member of the tour, and experience is is by default for the young teenagers and whatever the case may be. But you're right, Andrina, just the whole way they handled it was quite so sort of odd. It was just what? It's okay if she had a panic attack. It's not crazy. It's not unusual.
Nobody brought it up really, but what it put me in mind of is, remember when Vika played Sloane at
I thought about it. It was exactly what happened with Vika, it seemed to me.
And Vika got to go off court, recover, and come back. Which was really unfair. And then she changed her story about why she went. She said why she went off court, but she said she's kind of panicked. And then when they said, well, that's no grounds for you having a medical, etc., and being off court for 12 minutes or whatever it was, she then changed her story and said, no.
I remember being pissed off about that, though. I remember being pissed about
that was very unfair on Sloane. But I agree with you. Times have changed. Perhaps she was overwhelmed, but it is certainly not in the gift of John McEnroe to opine on what is going on with such certainty.
That's what they love. That's what they love about it.
I mean, look.
I thought it was interesting that they even pushed back on it, because I was like, oh, when he's coming for your precious.
Exactly.
But this is what you expect him to do to everyone else. So it was.
That's
really
why you pay him the money, right?
Exactly. You don't pay him. You don't pay him money for analysis. You pay him to sit back and call a spade, according to you. Yeah, and so when it applied to someone that you found precious, that's when you had a problem with it. And to folks in the chat talking about, listen, Catherine on that tennis podcast, she has come for Sloane. She's come for Naomi. There's a pattern to her, and she should exactly.
You forgot. She went for Serena as well.
So,
I mean, that's a given, though. That's a given.
But I just want to shade it a little bit. I'm just saying, let's shade our understanding about what it is that we expect of these players. Because what's interesting to me is she was playing in front of a British crowd, and they didn't think she was well enough to come out and wave and say goodbye. And nobody judged her for it. But we are talking about in contrast to what happened to Vika. And it was Vika coming back out and trying to resume that match that gave her that got people fired up. Because they're like, you weren't really. So it would have been, I guess, better for Vika to have just quietly gone away and had somebody issue a statement for her. Do you know what I mean?
I think the problem with what happened with Vika was how she presented it. And I think it was the words that she chose. If I remember correctly, she said something like,
I couldn't breathe.
I couldn't breathe. she said she got nervous.
Mhm.
Like
But
she made it.
the same thing.
It is the same thing, but you have to choose your words.
No, but the difference with Emma is she got a statement vetted.
I understand that, but my point is, Vika basically just said, I got nervous and I freaked out, and that wasn't okay. It wasn't okay for her to say that for whatever reason.
But it wasn't okay for her to use that as a way to stop the match. That's really part of the issue, though.
Okay.
With Vika's situation, is that the match got stopped. She was allowed time to recover, and Emma, apparently to Pablo, a doctor told Emma she couldn't go back out.
Yeah.
No. Well, Vika made the unilateral decision to be like, "Oh, I just need to catch my breath."
First and foremost, I think we have to be careful with those two things, because again, the onus is being placed on Vika when the onus could easily have been placed on a doctor saying to her, "You're right enough to go out." The fact that they allowed a doctor to give Emma permission not to is what's shaded this whole thing, because it gives a sense of like protection. It gives her protection. And then we're talking about her statement, which clearly someone is going to help her write about how are you going to explain the fact that you didn't continue. Like, I think Vika was under the gun. And all I kept thinking to myself was, wow, we really treated Vika abominably in that moment. When essentially it feels like Emma did the same thing, but had the protection of the staff around her. And so I just think the grace that we've given to Emma, I wish now when I look back in hindsight, we had given that grace to many players, right?
I don't disagree, but I think we have to acknowledge the fact that maybe I'm misunderstanding it, because I didn't see as it happened what happened with Emma. Did she say, I can't breathe?
I mean,
leave it at that. Did she leave it at that? Was it like, I don't know what's going on with my body and I can't breathe and I have to go get it evaluated? Whereas Vika basically told us, I'm panicking and I can't breathe. I need to settle down. And that's why I think it was treated so differently, because she basically said in the moment, I'm having a mental moment issue and I need to calm down. Whereas we didn't get that from Emma, from her mouth in that moment.
It was unclear from Emma's side.
And I think that's the huge difference. I think that's why the fans reacted differently. That's what I think.
Listen, also, I don't know. You know why? I mean, I'm going to say it. I think Emma has the right genteel femininity to allow that sense of grace. I think Vika was a baller. And she had that yell. She had those shorts on, and she was playing an American. And I just think the whole energy was very different. And I do get that cult of femininity that Emma has in spades, and she fits people's perception of someone that you want to protect.
She's a rough old bird, yes.
But you know what I mean? And I just think that there was a little bit of shade around that. That's all.
I think also that Emma has the look, but also she was massively the underdog. And she was a Brit. And she's only 18, and it's her second tournament, or tour level tournament. She'd only played, I think, in Nottingham before, and completely out of nowhere. So there's no baggage. Vika, for better or for worse, had baggage. Very aggressive player, as you say, a baller. Easy to take a punch at.
Yep.
But I remember watching that happen with Vika, going, "Girl, get it together." I remember thinking that and feeling it, because it felt like in the moment that she was trying to take some time because she was panicking about her situation. It needed some extra time. I remember feeling like she was trying to maybe pull a fast one. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
Well, you gave her more credit, right? But I think really what happened in the match for Emma, let me tell you something. Tomljanovic was dragging her side to side at the end of the set. She
didn't have a game plan either.
Yeah, and she was breathing heavy between that. I think what happened is physical exertion.
Yep.
She experienced a senior level match with an opponent who was fit and ready to take advantage of the moment.
I was gonna treat her like she was a child, not like if Tomljanovic never treated Emma on court as if they were her equal. As if you can possibly beat me. That was clear in her mind. Even when she did get some break, Tomljanovic was just up in the ante.
And a lot of the discussion about whether she should have continued is moot because she was a set and 3-love down and was being pushed from pillar to post.
But let's be honest, though. Yeah. She's playing Tomljanovic, though. Remember, Tomljanovic can lose a match a set.
Yeah, but Tomljanovic did not look that way this tournament, right? She showed up this tournament. She showed up.
But it's always there, right? You're always there for the taking because it's so interesting because the commentators were worried about Tomljanovic. They were like, I hope she's going to handle the moment well because the crowd is going to obviously not be on her side. And they kept being surprised that she was holding it together so well because the crowd really was 100% behind her. So it was just like, I just think the dynamics was really interesting. I think it's great that Emma is allowed to be precious at 18 when others are not. Mm-hmm. I think it's wonderful that she's been giving a lot of grace. But now I have to admit that in hindsight, I see how few of the women on the WTA were given that. And some of them weren't even women. They were children. So it's just like maybe moving forward, I'm going to be seeing more of that kind of grace to all the other opponents, but I suspect not. But, who knows? Maybe we'll see her. Maybe we'll see her.
Yeah, also, I'm reminded that Emma has now got to go out and prove what many people think she's worth. And it's remember when Murray played Oscar Otte, the German guy. Mm-hmm. Otte lost, I think, yesterday in the Hamburg qualifier, 2 straight sets, 6-2, 6-3, something like that, to somebody ranked 50 places below him, I think, who I'd never actually heard of. And it's, you go from the glory of being on centre court or court 1 in a slam to qualifying
I mean, it's a different light, right?
I mean, it's true, but you know what? I'm going to blame Arthur because, Boo, you saw that cake on that table and you let it slip. It was right there. It was right there. I was watching that match and I was just like, Boo, I know the people in this crowd is more than you've ever seen in 50 challenges combined, but the cake was right there. The baby, you just had to take the candy out of the baby and you stumbled. That's on you, Boo.
He didn't seize that schnitzel.
I'm telling you, 3rd round money is always better than 2nd round money. Yeah. Always.
Let's talk about the most egregious thing to happen at Wimbledon, aside from
the lines calling.
No, the Federer bagel. How do y'all feel about it? What do you all think about Federer? What do you?
I mean, look at God, right? Berrettini just said, "Don't fuck with Federer." That's from Reels. Give her about a bagel.
Federer is going to be 40 years old soon. Everything that he's doing right now is a bonus. Be happy that he's still playing because you're going to miss him like crazy when he's gone. He plays a beautiful brand of tennis, and he's almost 40. If he gets bageled, he gets bageled. So the fuck what? Do we want to see him do great? Absolutely. Can he still have moments where he plays lights out tennis and will, even handle the likes of Novak? Absolutely. But they're going to be further and further apart. Just enjoy the tennis. Get over it.
He was absent for that set. I mean, he just mentally wasn't there, and you could see it. He knew it, and he was just going through the motions, which I've never seen him like. I mean, it was a new thing to see. He's not played well this Wimbledon, I don't think, and he knows why. And I feel he also has put an awful lot of pressure on himself prior to it, and in the press conference that he gave, it's worth listening to because he explains a lot about where his mind, and he doesn't say where it was, but he's asking the question, where is my mind in all of this? And he just wasn't there in that set. It was just not there. Simple.
Look,
and that's okay.
I have survived Sarah Irani beating Venus Williams.
That's right. We'll be all right.
Well, we'll be all right. But I do think it's interesting. I think what I love about this phase is watching and a player come to the realization about where their wall is.
I mean, and for me, I don't cry over Fed losses because I said, this is all gravy for me, right? Yep. Federer was supposed to be over since 2008, according to the newspaper, and legitimately 2012, right? Yep. I mean, that was that because I knew Federer couldn't be Federer anymore when Delpo dragged him through and he let Murray stole a gold medal from him in straight sets. I was just like, well, Federer isn't Federer anymore, right? It's gonna be sort of down, and And I mean, he's had to manage himself. I mean, because in 2012, right? That's when he had that horrible loss to a non-Nadal Spanish player. Federer don't lose to non-Spanish players, Spanish players who are not Nadal. Tommy Robredo. Of all the people, Tommy Robredo got a win over Federer. So, I mean, to me, it was kind of, to get a big, but for me, it's like a bagel from Hakash is better than a bagel from Nole. So, hey.
My God. Pick your bagels.
I said that to somebody, though. I think I may have said it to Howard. I don't know. I was like, I want us to have the kind of conversations that we're having about Federer, the way that we have that conversation about Serena, and I want to hear them talk about it. Like, it's so hard because the chase is like, the chase is such a thing on people's minds. But it's like, if the player is playing this long, I'd love for us to talk about what that is. Like, what the player can and can't do anymore. You know what I mean? Like, the person who is analyzing Federer, but even Federer's analysis of himself, he's like, I now have to think about things that used to come naturally to me. And so now the brain is like fully involved in the match in a different way. And I remember retired players saying that. So it's just so interesting to hear that. And I would love to be able to get a little bit of that in the Serena matches, but everyone is always waiting for Serena to return to the prior version of herself. And so I just never get that kind of analysis.
To me, those are tennis fans. Those are tennis fans who came from 2011.
No, not even fans. Not just fans. I'm talking about even commentators. Like,
but you know what's interesting? But very interestingly, as I was watching, suffering through PMAC and Chris Fowler, is that they mentioned when they were showing up the graphic of the 20 winners, right? 2019, they said in the open era, right? And they qualified what the open era actually meant, right? They qualified that. No one was talking about, God knows, Fred Perry or whoever who had 20 bazillion who just showed up in the final, right? No one mentioned that number. But interesting enough, when they switched to the women's side, they said, oh, and then Nole might even beat Steffi, Serena, and Margaret Court, who has 24. And I'm like, boo, I am confused. Aren't they supposed to be in the open era? We only count these things in the open era. But somehow, and they even mentioned a lot of the good players didn't even show up before the open era. So it's rather, to me, it's one of those things. I think what I wish journalism would do is that they would qualify that statement about whether or not this chase is even a thing. There is no chase. She's already ahead. She isn't chasing anybody. It's not
about the chase. It's just about the fact that you don't get to talk about the opponents in their stages. Like when a person is young, you can talk about their game and how they need to develop it. When they're in their prime, you can talk about how peak they are. You can talk about what's going on.
Right.
But post their prime, it's just like you just don't get that. Like you don't get that kind of like, oh, this person's not able to do what
but I mean,
you know what I mean? You just don't get that.
Right.
Like,
I mean, that's an excellent point. I think Venus, I also remember Venus said, when she got Shogun, she just like, you can't tell. The crazy thing is that an athlete body isn't doing what the body is supposed to do. And that is the hardest part for the athlete, right? And I saw that with Federer, just like, because for Federer was making all the right decision. It was just horrible execution. He was just like, why is this forehand not going anywhere close to it's supposed to be? Federer was missing like Madison Keys. It was just like, what? I mean, it was insane. But I mean,
no, that's unfair. Madison gets it over the net. I mean, it doesn't bounce before it hits the.
Look. Federer was hitting some wild shot. I mean, did you see that French Open? But I mean, to your point, Andre, and I think with Serena, because we are defining Serena through this chase, which is Serena is an extra special asterisk, right? Because we are forgetting the fact that when this woman shows up at majors and she is fit, she is playing top tennis. She's the most consistent WTA player out there at the majors. She is by far. Not she just hasn't won one. But I mean, like, is winning really the thing when you're not even talking about the fact that this woman gets up every day, still at near 40, and trying to do this damn career when in the past you retired at 30. She has given herself 10 extra years, and Federer has as well. And they're playing top flight tennis. That to put Serena or Federer in front of an opponent is tricky. That opponent has to play the best tennis of their goddamn life. Hakash did not look like that dude who played Federer when he played Berrettini. Didn't look like that dude at all.
No.
So the matchup is different. The mentality that they bring to the court is different. And we need to talk about that. Those people, Serena and Federer, still got the juice, even though they don't got the game. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because when you watch on the WTA side, when you watch Serena's opponents, I mean, they play the games of their life. Her losses, when you look at how her opponents have played, you don't see them reproduce that. You know, they see it as a golden opportunity. They see her as a sort of wounded animal in some way, and they play lights out tennis. And sometimes they pull it off. I think it's interesting. Her problem mainly, I think, is physical. But at the Australian Open this year, it seemed to be reasonably fit, and she played some absolutely fabulous tennis. Especially she got better, and especially in the quarterfinal, I think, against Sabalenka. I mean, she reached balls that no one expected her to reach, and very high quality game. Could serve herself out of trouble when she was 15-40 down. But I just feel that injuries are now.
No, but the other player was better though. I mean, on hard court, Osaka is really,
yeah, she's pretty good.
She's pretty good. I mean, Serena was outplayed. But you know what I wish for Serena is to face a dodgy player in the final, like a Kaplis who's just game is off, or a Barty. Serena's not Maria Sharapova, Get one of those, get either your diehard pigeon across the net from you. I mean, the thing that the US Open did foul in 2018 is that they put Maria first in the first round. You should have tried to give her Murray draw. Give Sharapova a Murray Wimbledon draw. Ease her on up in there. And I mean, no, Marta would have found a way to get to the final if she can get to the second week. And that would have been...
Nobody wants a Serena Martha final nowadays.
I mean, look, if y'all are all out here talking about you want 24, which doesn't need to happen at all in my mind, by the true facts of the matter, get her a fact of, get her Maria in the final, get her Venus in the final, okay? At the very
I wish that for us. But you know what? Let's talk about the thing that everybody's been promising but happened. The rise of the Canadians, no? Who saw that coming?
I mean, which Canadian we talking about?
Both of them. They got to the second week of Wimbledon.
I mean, yes. I mean,
we're only talking the ATP side here.
So. Yeah, I mean that's true because Bianca just retire herself all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's cute. You know what I mean? I don't particularly feel any sort of I don't know, affinity to these players. They're cool. They're gentlemanly. I guess I don't necessarily like their game. They can be fun sometimes. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why Chapo has a lesbian card. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I mean, look. I mean. It's all, but you know what I have to say at the very least, they're less robotic, though Felix to a certain extent, than Raonic, right? Yeah. And let's see if they can because I mean at this point they should be inheriting the ATP, right? Because I mean the old men are going out. I mean, at the very least they can get their Berrettini, their Tsitsipas moment, right? They could be in the finals at the very least. Whether they can win a major, it might be another question.
Yeah, I agree with Tony. I think Chapo's hair was better. It's a big improvement, as was his kit. Normally they put him in something that's 5 sizes too big. And his shorts are falling down, or the shirt is kind of billowing in the wind. But he was in a decent kit this time, and he looked okay, and he's improving.
Yep.
That is true. I wouldn't deny that fact, but I mean but is he improving to the level that we think can be consistently contending at majors, and not just at the majors? Because let's be honest here, these boys do not know how to play a 5-set match.
I know. Well,
they don't know how to play a 5-set match.
They need to perfect that in the Masters. They got to go back to the Masters final.
Yeah,
I agree. I would even do that with the. Do you remember when the Virginia Slims used to play best of 5 sets for the women? I think they should.
I think the men. I think if the kids are going to have to show up in these slam finals, they need to be training on best of 5. And best way for you to do that is to reintroduce it in a final.
Yep.
Like somehow or another,
exactly. They shouldn't be like a 4 times a year kind of situation. You know what I mean?
They can't manage themselves.
They cannot manage themselves, because let me tell you something. The veterans are figuring out a way of being here. I mean, like, look. I mean, one of you can't trip up Nole in the locker room or something. I mean, come on now. But it's very difficult because I mean the veteran. Because the honest part, the crazy part about it is that had it been Nole, had it been Federer or Rafa in the final, I don't even think Berrettini would have won. Just the same, you know what I mean? I don't think he would have won.
I mean, you might have gotten a flashier match.
Right, we would have probably got a flashier match. Exactly. You know, he may have had a match point just to keep things interesting. But you know, then we could have said it's really nerves, right? But we can't say nerves when you didn't when you're struggling to hold your serve, right? When you're kind of dicey on that
over the net. I mean, so I guess for me, for the Canadians, I'm just curious to see if they follow it up at the U.S. Open. Do they back themselves to at least get to second week?
Do they go to the Olympics? Yeah, as well.
I didn't listen, y'all. Every single day I get up waiting to get an announcement that the Olympics are canceled. It's in 10 days, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You're right.
Oh, that's not realistic. So
it's going to be horrible, but I think they just
look. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We're gonna be out here cheering for humanity, bringing people together. The Olympics does that, while the ambulance are outside trying to save the people.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that a couple of Japanese citizens are trying to sue to prevent the Olympics. I don't think that's going to work. But you know what? Honestly, they can't cancel, right? Because then they'd owe the IOC money. No,
but the thing about they can't cancel because I think of the insurance.
Yeah.
IOC. But the thing about it, I don't know how any. I don't know how many.
Because there'll be a force majeure clause in every single contract, and if they could cancel now because they've declared a state of emergency.
Exactly.
That's more than enough.
I cannot believe any coach in this world is going to tell them that they have to pay because the IOC got them. IOC didn't give them any money. That's the crazy thing. And I don't understand how the IOC is saying, you know, like, oh. I'm confident the game can go forward, but guess what? We ain't gonna go there right now. Okay, there's a state of emergency there. We're not gonna visit the site. There's a state of emergency there. And the thing about it, it's not just COVID. I'm sorry.
This Olympics won't be making any money anyway.
Right.
So, what they've invested so far, I mean, I just think it's typical in Japan culture. Things take decades to change, and they don't like changing their mind or changing their
habits. It has anything to do
with people are dying.
I know, but it's strongly they will persevere.
But I don't know. But to me, this isn't even just a Japan situation. I am surprised that the world hasn't called for this thing to be cancelled
and said yes, exactly. I agree. In fact, I think the IOC is pushing and pushing and pushing to have it.
NBC, you mean?
Maybe NBC as well, yeah. But I mean, it is. I
don't understand how I can be just going through. I mean, the vaccination rate is relatively low around the world, and I don't think Americans understand that. And it's not low because of vaccine hesitancy. It's vaccine unavailability.
Yeah, it's low in Japan. They've screwed up their vaccine rollout program
because they didn't have vaccines, though.
But they messed up how they were rolling it out as well, and they let areas get out of control. And I mean, it is a mess. But we'll see how it goes ahead. I mean, I think does Olympic gold in tennis mean anything?
It does if he's going for the Golden Slam.
I mean, look. It is the resume builder. Okay, it just adds to your resume because I mean. Steffi Graf we're not out here talking about Steffi Graf Olympic glory unless you're German. And I'm sure they're not hyping that up over the 21, 22 majors that she has. You know what I mean? Like, so I think, I mean, it means something to Russians.
Yeah, because it's had winners in the past who just have not, you know, they've been
outliers.
Yes.
Outlier. And it only matters when the person who you think should get it. So like it generally is an outlier. Mm-hmm. Unless you're ticking boxes for the big three, and then it matters. And then on the women's side, it matters if you are. Actually, it rarely matters on the women's side in terms of like resume building. It's more just like a wonderful prize for the woman that wins it, right? Because it's kind of usually an outlier, and so you're like, fantastic. I mean, who's the lovely young lady who won it and is not returning, right?
Monica Puig.
Yeah. So
I mean,
she's not
look.
returning. I think she's.
I mean,
already
it adds something. Do you all know the fact that Justin Enarden has a gold medal?
No, it's just not. I mean, it's always been
It
really
doesn't mean anything for tennis. It doesn't mean, and some sports work differently. For track and field, winning the Olympic gold is really
It's more
important,
pinnacle, right?
but also winning the world championship means that you are something in the sport as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gymnastics, it's the other way around. If you're dominating on the Olympic and the world championships, like Simone, which is unusual, and Uchimura from Japan, it adds to your resume because you have the Olympic gold medal. Some sports it work that way, but tennis is happening too often all over the place, and the gold standards has how. And I mean, the Wimbledon championship is as old as the Olympics, isn't it? It's about the same time. So
we just have more cachet to other things, I think, in the sport. I mean, I think this year it will matter if Novak wins it or loses it.
Yes, because he's adding to his resume.
Right. Well, also it will be part of the Golden Slam because
exactly. It's adding to that
plus the calendar for.
He's gonna go though. I know he's gonna go.
Kits,
because there's no Delpo, so I mean, he's doing to win.
You know what though? But I actually think it's actually. I mean, I think it's enough of an unusual situation that I think that anyone who wants to go probably has a shot.
Yes.
No. I don't think so. I mean, there is a cutoff ranking rule. That guy.
No, I know. I mean, whoever is there. I'm
just entitled to go. Yes.
Once you're there, I think anyone is in with a shot.
Yeah.
10 days playing on. I mean, it's hard court, but the transition is not that hard.
And actually, tennis players have been used to playing in empty stadiums, particularly those who are challengers. So, I mean, it should be interesting.
It should still be fairly competitive. I mean, and there's no crowd to contend with. Listen, except yourself out there. So, I mean, I don't see. You know, I think it's not a bad idea. Like, if I'm Novak Djokovic, I don't risk it. I don't think the Olympics adds much to you. I think you knocking down the U.S. Open.
Have you met this dude? Have you met this dude?
I have heard of him, and I know the representing your country is a big deal. But honestly, tennis at the Olympics this year, it just doesn't mean as much as the U.S. Open will.
He's gonna go for because he will not have this opportunity again. Because here is the thing: everything lined up right. He has always been fought. He's guaranteed. I mean, like he has 6 Wimbledon. I mean, Australian Open, he has 20 Brazilian.
He wants this.
The French Open has always been the issue, right? And he conquered Nadal, and he conquered the dude in the finals. He didn't have Federer to contend with, who could probably give him some mental, you know what I mean? Yips, whatever the case may be. He will take this opportunity. Only them canceling the event would stop him. Because everyone is saying, I mean, because this is it, right? This is the same moment that Serena was in, and this is the part that is hard for most people, right? Martina Hingis couldn't do this. You know what I mean? It's a very difficult thing to conquer the 3 first slams. And plus in an Olympic year, I mean, it's not even an Olympic year. This is a special off-brand year, right? Because that was supposed to have been last year.
I mean, then it'll be peak. It'll also be real peak. I mean, I don't think it's worth it, but you know what?
You're right. It's not worth it, but this is Nole, and he's always about risking. And he's
also,
going to take
it's
this
just like, I mean, who takes the chance on going to a country, possibly getting COVID? I don't know. I mean, it's.
Look, a lot of people.
I don't know if Federer is gonna. I feel like Federer has to do it because I feel like there must be some sponsorship element.
A lot of people are willing to take this risk because guess what? You know who you're not hearing saying this game should be canceled? Athletes. Athletes are not dependent. Athletes are not demanding, but athletes are not demanding their federation move the individual tournament to different places.
Not publicly.
They must be doing something.
A lot of them are very concerned.
They should be.
But being concerned is different from advocating and pressuring them.
But you don't know that, Reels. That's what he's saying. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But the thing about it also is you get COVID, you mess up your chances at Worlds.
But he had COVID already, though, and I know he got the vaccine.
I'm not talking about Djokovic. You can get COVID twice, you know.
I know that, but does Nole listen to the science? I mean,
well, I don't know if Nole took his vaccine. Did he get a vaccine?
I don't think Federer should go because, I mean, like, considering his age, likely of him winning, he got a gold already. And secondly, like, you're going to be excluded from your family again, and you've been away from them for too long. So,
I mean, I'm interested in seeing which of the tennis players actually show up, to be honest.
Patrick, I disagree. The Olympics will not be fine. Japan is in a state of emergency twice over. Just so that we're aware of that.
Real
There was already there was a state of emergency in Japan that was set to expire on the 20th of July. They've issued that again. Yeah. So it's not fine.
And I thought it was no spectators at any sport.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. You're saying that they're going to do it at a baseball game? Let me know. Well, I mean, it is outside, I guess.
It is outside, yes. And it's returning to the Olympics. I think that might be the reason why. And do we
know what the surface is for the tennis at the Olympics?
Hard court.
It's hard court, but hard court outside.
Hard court outside.
Yeah.
Hard court outside.
So not
I mean, it's basically training ground for the North American Summit, which, by the way, I'm so excited about. And because
Rafa is coming to DC, so they say. Yeah, and I know all the New York games bought up the ticket. The games of New York bought up the ticket.
They've found some money, it seems, to meet his appearance.
I wonder if that is the case, or Rafa has decided he is going for the US Open.
Of course, Rafa's going for the US Open.
And he needs the preparation.
Of course. Let me tell you something. Rafa already ticked the box that Nole was going to win our Wimbledon. The chase is on for the US Open. Let me tell you something. I am ready for that party. I think it's going to be a ruckus because the US Open is going to be 100% capacity, whether it should or shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone likes themselves on the hard. And so I want these motherfuckers to battle. I want you all to come hard and fast and make this the best slam of the year. I want to see that. That is my dream. So I think Rafa took some time, which was smart of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he likes his chances against Novak better on hard than anywhere else.
I mean, granted, he hasn't beat him since 2013. But
who has, though?
Hope springs eternal, Rafa. Hope springs eternal.
Listen, Novak is, Rafa's like, listen, maybe you have a bad night. Get a little,
I mean, you could hit another ball person again because he was just like, fuck, I could have been there last year. I missed my shot. I could have doubled up. I mean, look at those two clowns in the finals. I could have handled them in straight sets. I've been on the transatlantic to Paris in no time.
Like, we usually talk about kits, but I don't know where any of the kits.
Kudermetova was it. For the ladies, Kudermetova was it. No one else compared anywhere close to it.
I think they were quite bland this year.
I know Barty had a nice model show off a kit, but what showed up on court is still a usual affair. Okay. But you know what? But interestingly enough, Fila didn't do. But you see, Caroline is very long and lean and model-esque, typical model-esque, so it fit better. But Fila never gets anything right. But Kudermetova for the ladies was hands down. I mean, Armani does their players right. I mean,
it was an Armani kit.
Yep.
Emporio Armani,
yeah.
She's one of the names they have under, like Fornini and a few others.
I mean, so that means they have real designers who understand players' bodies, human body anatomy. I don't know who Nike and Adidas got going there, but I was happy that Chains put sleeves back on his shirt.
Oh, thank goodness. Well, I didn't. Yeah, that was.
So we need to give him honorable mention for that at the very least. He stopped looking like a hanger, so I was happy to see that.
I don't remember any of the other kits. They were all kind of
they were not memorable. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, someone said. I
like Coco's skirt. Coco is one of the few ladies that they dress consistently well, so it sometimes stays in the background.
That's New Balance, yeah.
Yes,
New Balance. And New Balance is really out here trying because they got some very glam athletes. They got that girl who does the hurdle, Cindy McLaughlin. They're out here really trying to step their game up. I still won't put this shoe on my feet, but you know what? Hey, New Balance, all for you for being out here trying.
They're good shoes.
I don't care. It will not be on my feet.
You know what I noticed that they allowed this year, and I can't remember if they've allowed it in recent years. The black ankle supports that are quite big.
Yeah,
Berrettini was wearing them today. Other players were wearing them.
I mean, look, it's Berrettini. They had to make a special exception.
But no, in prior rounds, there were players wearing them, and they were black, and they allowed them. And normally they say that these have because you can get white ones. But it was interesting that because it looked like black socks at first, but
I thought it was socks at first too.
Yeah,
but hey, who else I thought looked a friend of mine was watching and he said I know it's white at Wimbledon, but goddamn, Venus, that was one bland and basic kit. Like Venus looked like it.
Actually,
Venus looked like I'd be like, oh.
I liked Roger's kit. I liked the little
I did too.
Of green and red.
Yeah, and the checkered white pattern I think was also there. I think Sloan also looked nice. She had that sheer area. Sloan. She had a sheer midriff area that helped, I think, the kit. I just didn't remember. I mean, aside from Serena wearing like a wedding gown, I don't remember anyone like catching my attention. Which is
Kudamatova looked really well. She looked really nice. I mean, I enjoyed her kit. You know,
I know that's the but listen, this is the job of a tennis player, is to get me to notice your outfit. Come on.
Exactly. I mean, like if we don't notice it, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it right. I mean, look, Fonini used to be wearing these crazy shit, like, you know what I mean? And that's what fashion is, right? Fashion is supposed to come off of the wall. You're not supposed to be blending into the wall. So I mean, but I think Wimbledon should go back and let them have a little bit more color to be a little bit
like
more
in the old days. When they used to have much more.
I mean, but you know, Serena took it too. I was saying Serena took it to a whole other level when she was wearing those purple shorts. But I mean, if you go back, a lot of them were really egregious. I think the members were just like, they're doing too much.
I saw your question in the chat. I did see Ask Trophy's picture. So I was getting safari cheek.
Yeah, I needed color, boo. I needed color, girl. I needed color.
It was okay. It was khaki, and I think we should never do khaki. But I mean, it was as good as it was gonna get. And I thought that she was doing safari. So yes, a tour guide does sort of read okay.
But she does look well in pants, way better than she does in skirts.
She should totally do pants.
She should totally do pants on court.
Yes. I think that would be quite.
That was the thing that struck me. I needed more color in the trophy picture. Her hair was done nice. She had a nice business bun, but the color was girl. Like you just
Yeah, I didn't really feel it.
We needed a pop, something. Tell me something. Give me a story, something.
But I'm so sad they won't have a Wimbledon ball. Not that we could ever see it, so it's not.
I mean, exactly.
I usually like the pictures after, but I'm not going to enjoy anyone who's going to be there. So it's okay.
True that. I mean, like, no, it never looks right in a tux. I don't know what it is. It's never looks.
I mean, a tux requires at least a little bit of body flat. Nadal,
that is true.
Nadal does have 4 U.S. Open titles. No, I think I agree with Richard Marks. I think Rafa backs himself better at the U.S. Open than Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, he saved his body. He saved his body for that. So it's going to be really interesting. Someone's going to be taken off the court.
That's what you have to do, because Nole's favorite places is Australia, right? And we may even get the Australian Open to be
and Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Nole will not rest until he gets 9 Wimbledon trophies.
That's fine. I mean, who cares? But I do think that the Australian Open, like, listen, I think you want them all. Now, if you really want to cause a ruckus, we want a whole outlier to win the U.S. Open.
I mean, I want the Australian Open to go back to the days when Thomas Johansson could win that shit. I mean, when we had finalists like Marcus Baghdadi. I mean,
and then you could do like a Canadian win. So what we want to do is we want you all to be trapped at 4 so that the commentators keep talking about 20 forever.
I mean, yeah. So I want these 3 guys never to win another major, but I don't want the U.S. Open finals like we got last year. None of that, please. None of that. Too long.
No,
too long and messy.
It'll be Medvedev this year.
I mean, look. You know what I want to see? I want to see Medvedev and Kyrgios for a major final. That will be a hot mess.
You know what? Okay, let me ask you this though. Did you think Kyrgios looked at Berrettini and had a moment of like, I wish I could do that. I could be in a final. Do you think that or no?
I mean, he was with the girlfriend, so he already know he can do that. Just saying. I mean, just saying. But to your point. I mean, we had an interesting conversation last time around when we talk about fitness, which is really important, but also that people that I think he mentioned it as well, that you can't necessarily measure yourself against, because these 3 guys they're crazy. I mean,
don't measure yourself against the big 3, but measure yourself against who's getting
exactly.
To the final. You should have been getting to a final if you're thinking about Stefano.
Yeah, I mean, like an Agassi career could be cute for you. in Agassi's career. I mean, look, John McEnroe even got all that. He's up here talking, Nick. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Look, Patrick McEnroe got one French Open doubles.
He has everything. He has everything.
So I think
he has everything except fitness and commitment. And if he wanted to contend for slam titles, then he has to do the work.
Like I want him to get a good coach. I want him to get a good person in his box. Because I think he needs someone in his box.
Maybe better than that. That his attitude shifts.
I mean, yes, but you need someone in your box on this, and he's 28.
Better that it comes from within first, and then you look for the tools you need to make it happen, rather than relying on other people to try and drag it out of you. He has everything.
Yeah. I don't think he needs anyone in his box. I think he needs to be committed. But let me just ask you all: this was kind of the first real tournament, right? Was Wimbledon the first sort of post-COVID real tournament?
Girl, look, my friend was just like, I don't know what they're talking about half capacity because center court always looked like
it was full. It was full.
Full when it needed to be. No mask, no nothing.
It was full from the quarters on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you all feel? Like, I mean, I didn't think we'd see that, to be honest. I'll be honest. I didn't really think it was going to get there. And I mean, I guess we'll evaluate how it all went over.
Well, when we look at the health numbers.
Yeah, there's a reason. It's part of a government experiment. I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but no. Some of the events, like the football and tennis, are part of government experiments to see what happens when doubly vaccinated people turn up in crowds for outside sports. Okay. So there are other sports that couldn't do this, that might be happening now. But the football and the tennis have been allowed to do it, just coincidentally. It was much more like the old tournament. It wasn't quite like the old tournament, but they're getting there. And I think they always do a great job because they run it like a military operation anyway. They're fairly ruthless in how they marshal people around and everything. And I thought it was good that we had decent crowds. And I hope as a COVID experiment, mass COVID experiment, it went well. I hope there's very few people who
get sick.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? You think they're going to track it?
Yeah, they track everybody. I'm told they're supposed to be tracking everybody. Yes.
That's interesting. I mean, I hope it'll yield information for, I guess, the Aussies, no? Because I heard the Australians might be thinking of not even having the Australian Open.
I know, because
a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's such a long time to go. Sorry. So it's strange.
The thing is, the problem they're having is that the authorities will insist on a minimum 2-week quarantine before the tournament.
Yeah.
And if you play tournaments up to the tournament, then you can't do that. So if you're playing in Brisbane, that's the week before. There's only a week, I think, gap between Brisbane and if you're playing the ATP Cup or whatever it is, I think that's only a week's gap. But they moved the date or something. But it's, I think Craig was saying something like he's concerned that athletes will not stomach a 2-week quarantine, full 2 weeks.
Richard mentioned this in the chat, and you're right. I remember seeing that the Duchess had to stay home because somebody tested positive. So who was that?
I thought she had to isolate because she was in proximity of somebody who tested positive for COVID. Yeah. So and then she'll have done her isolation. She'll have been tested, and then they'll have wheeled her out back to Wimbledon when she was negative.
It was interesting because it seemed like she came back to back.
Exactly. I didn't miss her. I wanted to miss her because I didn't think they were necessary. Look at that man. This is his last year, right? Because the Duke of Kent, Lord.
He's Nosferatu.
Oh my God.
On his last legs. I think she had to isolate for 5 days, which she probably did.
Oh, okay.
But because provided she didn't test positive. But didn't she look as thin as a rake? I mean, she was really.
I mean, I think the one thing that I think has shifted a little bit is, I mean, do you think the queue comes back next year? I mean, I think that clearly you could do this. You could do this online. Tickets.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is the thing I thought. Like, I find people who are home watching tennis get really crazy about the crowds. Wimbledon crowds, people, hello, this is tennis. We don't even have to look at soccer. Have you been to the French Open? Have you been to the US Open? People never shut up at the US Open. I have been to the US Open where they're literally calling the wrong player's name at the play.
But they're different. I think
I mean, I get the vibe, but hey,
the queuing sets you up for a certain type of crowd at Wimbledon. That's very different. Everywhere else you can buy your ticket, but that queuing sets you up for fanatics in the crowd.
Interesting you say that, because I thought throughout the tournament when there were crowds, they were all a bit rough.
Yep.
And they were much noisier and more.
Yeah, because it's more casuals.
Yes, and I thought different kind of set of people who got tickets this time, because they didn't want to sit out for 6 hours queuing up and getting the returns halfway through the afternoon. So you didn't get so many of the fanatics.
No, and it changed the quality of the turn. I think
I agree. Yes.
There was you didn't get as many of the the pictures, the elements of people who were like in love with these guys and like lined up the night before for the various folks. So you did end up with more of a US Open like crowd, Reels, which is like it's just the thing to do. And people are chatting between points, which is also seems to be RG.
Right. And I mean, look, but at least nothing's falling on anyone, okay? That's RG. So I'm just saying, look, the players are not necessarily complaining. I mean, Maria had to tell players, the corporate boxes, to shut up. So I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, to me, it's just like the fans are there to at least play. They're there to play, and the fans are there. The players enjoy them for the most part. So just, I don't understand that thing. I mean, Wimbledon is not that precious and serious to me, but that's just me.
Though. It's
fine. We're struggling to get people to watch tennis anyway.
There's nothing wrong with it, Reels. It's just there was a different crowd this year, and it's different because the queue is missing, and those are faithfuls. Those are
for the better. For the better.
That's fine for you because you think it is, but
for technology's sake, for the people, but
for the queuing people, it does bring. That's the only way they can sort of guarantee themselves a ticket. Is if you line up, you know you're going to get a ticket. You go online, you don't know. It's hit or miss.
Well, I think they didn't. I think the interesting thing, didn't they bar people from going back multiple times or something like that?
I think they limited how many you could buy.
Right. So I think in the years to come, if they continue this system, which I hope, and there is an extra day to play, I think it would even out. It would get better. You know what I mean? And people would get access.
Well, I mean, it's also just different in terms of the club, because I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that changes when the rest of the world can also get online and buy tickets. Because remember, they blocked
geo-blocked. Yes.
Yeah, they geo-blocked it. So it'll be this is definitely an experiment. I don't know what the demand for Wimbledon tickets will be like.
It's gonna be like what's that thing called? Oh my god, it's an opera, Bayreuth Festival, where each country gets a certain number of tickets.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an opera festival for Wagner opera. I mean, but you have to be a certain kind of crowd to be trying to sit on hard chairs for that kind of
Rotterdam or something.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, you know what? Then props to Wimbledon. I think they put on a great tournament. The slipping and the sliding notwithstanding, the line call folks, the umpires who were severely challenged, but I guess
he's looking at the player and saying she shouted. What, girl?
Yeah, I think at the US Open we're going to have electronic line calling.
Yes.
Yeah.
For all the courts,
which I support.
I think it's supposed to be all the courts. I think they said they were introducing that.
I wish they would have instant replay though, that they can go back and actually have not just rely on memory for the umpire to say.
No,
well, I think this is how I remember it.
They will have instant replay. You mean in terms of the line?
Like for example, you had a situation with Vesnina. Interesting enough, she had double faulted before she had hit the ball. Her foot was across the other half of the thing, and the lines person called football, and then she was all acting like I don't know, and then they gave her first serve, and it was very clear as this she had double faulted. She had foot faulted. I mean,
yeah.
So we sort of need the electronic line calling can only call a certain part of tennis. The hindrance, whatever double bounce. Actually, you kind of need instant replay for that.
That's a good point, which has always really irritated me. There is only one line call you can't challenge in tennis, and that's the footfall call. and the umpire will never ever overrule a foot fault call.
Well, they did overrule this one. Interesting,
except in this case here. But if you have electronic line calling, it will call it automatically, and there's no doubt. But you cannot challenge, except the experiment they tried, I think, in the ATP Cup, where they had a camera on the service line, and you could ask for a replay to see it if you were called with a foot fault. But normally it's a line judge calling, and it is never questioned. You can't challenge it because there isn't a.
Well, we know that.
But I mean, there was a call in the men's doubles match that I think folks was like, we should be able to replay it when the person reached over the net.
Yeah.
They should have a yeah.
I think it was the Croatian team. They ended up no, it was it was the Spanish team. It was the Spaniards. I mean, they ended up winning that set, which I felt was sort of like, okay. Well, no, it was a tiebreak. So I was like so close, and I was like, dear Lord.
And I mean, and that was the thing too, was a crucial point when the umpire said that it was a net hindrance. Yeah. And she was, I think we need to,
which I've never,
we at home can't see this.
Ever. I haven't seen that called in forever. I think the last time might have been like the North American hardcourt doing with like a double match or something.
No,
weird.
It was Kirilenko. Kirilenko had a
weird.
Kirilenko, I think, had double tap when Maria was about to hit the other Maria Sharapova.
Triple tap. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we have the technology to fix these other things, and I think it's silly that we at home can see it. The people in the stands can see it because they've literally barred them from replaying shots in code unless it's like a highlight something, and it's like we can all see this. We should be able to challenge this because
but electronic line calling will deal with that, so you don't have to see the replay because the replay will show you what the call is, and there's no question. I think where there is an issue is if there is a fault called on a serve, let's say, and it turns out to be in, and then the question arises, did the receiver have a play on the ball?
Right.
And that is, and umpires regularly get that wrong.
So again,
we're gonna match it up. We're gonna do a little bit of like electronic stuff, and we still need the umpires there, barely. By the way,
we need the umpire there, but we also need to utilize the cameras that are already there.
Well, by the way, Wimbledon, congratulations on finally deciding that women can umpire men's matches. I guess.
Oh my God, I don't want to get into that silly nonsense.
Actually, I thought Chichak did well today.
I mean, they always do. Generally.
That's the job, though.
I mean, they generally do. Whatever gender they are, they generally do fine. I mean, except for a few occasional like loud missed calls, but for the most part, I don't even notice umpires being there. They're good enough to keep it going. But
and it's the same game they're calling. They're not calling a different sport. There isn't rules that are different. It's not like men's and women's gymnastics. It's not that remotely different. So
I noticed. I watched a lot of tennis this time round, and I did notice a lot of overrules from the chair. And they were not often accurate.
Nope.
Well, I mean, actually, to be honest, it's a little bit. Somebody was saying that too. They were like, "Oh, it doesn't look like this person was paying attention to the points." And I was like, "Well, it was a little bit chaotic in some of these matches." But
the umpires should have the ability to challenge. That they should have the ability to. That you don't need the player. Yes, exactly. That they can
help here. They should call for a quiet. Like, I feel like
because players are looking at the umpires for help, and the umpire was just like, I don't know. I mean, what do you mean you don't know? What were you watching? Like,
I mean, maybe something caught my attention. The umpire should have that discretion. Yeah. So
that the ability to challenge something. But anyway.
But it was lovely. I wasn't. Listen, nobody won that I cared enough about to be overjoyed. But we watched tennis, regardless of who wins or loses. And I think it was a pretty decent tournament overall. I didn't hate it.
No one got,
Yep.
They survived all the slip, and I think there are no lawsuits so far for Wimbledon. And that's always, Petra got one against the French. So, hey, you did well. You did well.
Wonderful. I welcomed having it back. I really love the timing. I had, if it was a later match, still had some time on the West Coast to watch it. So well done to Wimbledon. Congratulations on your historic finals. That's about as much as we can say about them. Ash Barty, fantastic for her. Not my favorite player. Wouldn't pay to see her necessarily, but I think that she honors this game well, does really well, has wonderful fans. So congrats to Aussie folks. I was getting a little bit like alerted to all of the kind of historical significance of her win and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't happen yesterday, but clearly the Aussies were asleep. They flooded the timeline later. She's obviously a symbolic. She's very much clearly someone that's like a symbolic win for also for her people. So congrats on that. I mean, I never want to take any shine away from people who are getting something wonderful out of a winner. So congrats to both champs. Nole fans, I guess congrats on being declared the GOAT. Is that helpful? Does that work for you?
But how they see it is that congrats to winning another major that Federer didn't win. So that's how we can be.
That's how we have to call
and
it.
I mean, like, for whatever nonsense, we can be out here talking about. I always think GOAT debates are always silly. When Federer had 14 or whatever the case to me, it's always silly people. There's never any accurate metric to say that they're all to put all them on equal footing.
I've never really thought about him as the GOAT, so I just don't think about anyone as a GOAT. I mean, if it's going to be a GOAT, it's going to be Muhammad Ali for me, but that's just me.
I mean, for me, it's Curry. The only GOAT is Curry GOAT. Okay, that's it. That's it.
GOAT I aspire to is to get the
That's it. It's the only GOAT I know.
So enjoy them. Enjoy this feeling of achievement. I'm sure Novak Djokovic, when he came on tour, didn't imagine this for himself. So I hope it gives him some comfort. You've got 20 slams. You're probably going to end up with 25. Enjoy all of it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I'm just hoping that. I honestly don't want these people to win another major ever again. I mean, honestly,
I don't think that's. Listen, that sounds like a fantasy. So.
No, it is because the thing about it's not going to change anything about these people at this point. You know what I mean?
No,
like it's not going to add. It's not going to say that Nole is any better of a tennis player than he actually is at this point.
Well, I think what is important is that he's better than anyone we've ever talked about under.
Oh, okay. He's better than Federer.
Yeah, so that's
okay. Nole.
So
that didn't bring you joy last time, boo. But I'm just saying.
I mean, well, you know who's going to sell some books? Let's also congratulate Carol. Carol B, girl, put that book out there. That book should be selling.
To say wow, what's she going to
say? I'm sorry. I mean, listen, get that book out there.
Part 2, part 2.
Yeah.
So
second edition.
You know what? It's wonderful.
And maybe this time you can really talk to Nole and he'll sit down with you and have a real proper interview instead of from the peripheral. That was kind of crazy.
Enjoy all of it. I'm looking forward to getting together with Deb live and in person in Washington, D.C. for the City, which has now turned out to be a wild party. I love everyone that's coming, theoretically. So I'm happy for the tournament. It benefits a wonderful organization, and I think that's actually a lovely tournament. And I just want to say that with Rafa coming, it means that number from 60% is definitely going to bump up to probably.
I know it's a lie. I'm telling you, New York Gates has bought out all the tickets. I mean, this way to God, Rafa is a dom top. This way, Rafa is a dom top. So they're going to be out there trying to live their fantasy.
Yeah, Richard, I agree. I mean, Richard, congratulations to all the top 3. May you all be stuck at 20 forever, but that's probably not going to be the case.
I know, Richard. You and I hope that hope springs eternal. Hope springs eternal.
The kids aren't ready.
They're not ready. They're not ready. And poor Dominic. Dominic is good for a wig snatcher too.
He's
not even there.
I hope he wakes up. I hope Dominic team wakes up. Lovely drama girl, you've been missed. We've discussed the men and women's final. We've talked about the fact that hopefully Wimbledon does not come up with a super spreader moment at all from this, because it's been such a joy to watch people enjoy tennis, and the players enjoyed hearing a crowd. It's wonderful. Like I don't want to take that away from folks at all. So knock on wood, Wimbledon. Hopefully you made really good choices. Thank you, Pablo, for coming on and joining the
having an English brunch.
No, my pleasure.
I know. I mean, it's been wonderful to have you here. You've been helping us traverse the.
It's been
and if you're not hearing Janina, for those who would listen to us on the replay, Janina left us to go support Italy. Italia. That's what I meant to say. So she's hoping that Berrettini, she and Berrettini are hoping that Italy has some kind of victory today. And she's having a soccer weekend because yesterday she's watching Copa.
I saw that
in South American tournament. Argentina beat Brazil. So, hey, Delpo still winning out here. Delpo is still winning. Which one you thought, Delpo?
Any final words, Pablo?
No, I just want to thank you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what more can I say?
The chase
Richard
is
said
on,
that
y'all.
Nikki,
Honored
Nick,
to be in your company.
It's been blessed. The chase is on for the USO, y'all. It's gonna
yeah,
be
Richard, I really hope Nick and Rafa gets to the DC finals. I mean, because
oh
that's gonna
my
be a hot
God,
mess.
the shade. Bring it. But you know, it's a bunch of young boys over there, and it'll be fun. All I'm saying, City Open, is could you just send a note to Monfils and ask him to come back? That's the thing I know. He loves that tournament. Come, Monfils, join the gang.
And win, Monfils, win.
Yeah,
You know what? Bring Fidolina, because there's gonna be a lady something, so she and Coco could definitely play on Sunday or whatever that weekend thing up they have.
The ladies invitational. I think it's supposed to be 4 women. I think Jessica Pagula, Jen Brady, and Coco are there. I think they have room for one more. So
I mean, Fidolina, there's your shot. Call somebody. I don't know what you need to do. Because you know what? I mean, Fidolina, I mean, I know you don't get a lot of respect here, but girl, I don't mind switching out. You could switch with Jen Brady, Pagula. I'm not gonna miss either one of those ladies. I certainly will not.
I mean, I will say the only regret anyone had is that Pagula did not take care of Coplis. So
you know what I'm saying? You know, it's like Gilles Simon. It's like Gilles Simon in 2014. You got one jabber, Marin Cilic, and you dropped that ball. You dropped it.
Oh, bless. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Good luck to all.